Antrel Rolle. I can't tell you all thanks in enough words. I really appreciate this. I appreciate this honor. I appreciate the setup and everything that goes along with it. First and foremost, man, and it might sound crazy, but half the time when I accomplish what I accomplish and I'm doing what I'm doing, I have no recollection of it. I just go out there and I just go. I don't think about anything else. I just go. I don't think about the money or whatever else that comes along with it. I don't think about it. I just go. I just try to come in my mind and I do the right thing. What's going to be the right thing at this point? How am I going to succeed? How am I going to get better each and every day? And honestly, that's just how I live my life. I don't think too far in advance. That's just always the way I've been. And growing up, man, like I say, if it was just me out here doing it on my own, I don't know where I would be. I honestly can't say that I'm strong enough to do all this by myself. It comes with everyone here in this room. It comes with a community that has my back. It comes with growing up and and you having people to push you as Quatron Hill, Sean Taylor, Marcus Hudson, Jarvis Johnson. We all competed on each and every level. And that's part of the reason we were all so successful. And nevertheless, a family. It's always been us five. It's always been us. It's always been us five. And that's what we are. With one hand, you ball it up, and we strike a mighty fist. That's just the way we've always been. And honestly, like I say, if it was just up to me, and I had my own life to look out there and to live by, I wouldn't care as much. I really wouldn't. But when I look out and I realize what I'm gonna feel, and what people realize and what they see before they see anything else, is they see the last name on the back of my jersey. That's where everything comes from. That's the only place it comes from. It comes from the last name Rolle. And for all you that don't know what that means that Rolle is a person that can never and will never be denied. Honestly, I can't express to you all enough what I feel at this moment. Honestly, like I said, this is very overwhelming. But at the same time, like my sister said, it requires a lot of hard work. It requires a lot of hard work growing up. It requires a lot of mental toughness. It requires a lot of discipline. And most of all, more than anything, it requires this. And there's a lot of players, and I think about it each and every day. There's a lot of players that were far more gifted than myself that didn't have the drive, that didn't have the discipline, and you know what? Like they didn't make it. So I think of everything. Not only always good. I think about the bad. How can I take the bad and make it good? And and that's why I am who I am. But like I say, this is only a stepping stone for me. I love football. I've always loved football. And growing up, my mother, being an administrator that she would always say, son, you have to think of something else. You can't just have football as your only focus. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I understand what you're saying, but you don't understand my mindset. My mindset is football. What am I going to be? I'm going to be a baller. I don't care how I'm going to get there. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I do know I will eventually get there. And and that's my thing. I've always kept my eye on the prize, and I've always been a person that once I succeed in something, right then and there, my mind goes on to the next thing. What else can I do? And like I said, I thank each and every last one of you. I thank the community. I thank everyone who has had any kind of, significant influence on my life. And you all know exactly who you are, because if you have any kind of significant influence on my life, trust me, we still speak today. And that's something that will never change. And when people ask me where I'm from, I don't say Miami, Florida. I say Homestead, Florida. couldn't have mentioned it any better when he said I represent all cities down here. You know why? Because my grandmother, she was from Googles. So you know what? I represent Googles. I know the grandmother and grandfather, I know they're from Florida City, so you know what? I represent Florida City too. And my home is here right here in South Lake Home State, so you know I'm going to represent that to the fullest. You know, like I said, I appreciate everything to the fullest, and this will not be the end, because now I got a ring, and I need to get two. So once again, man, thank you all. Brunton, you almost broke me, dog. You almost broke me. I ain't gonna let you. You almost broke me. But you know what, man? Like I said, I love each and every last one of my teammates. And one thing, what I want to say is, I had the fortunate opportunity of joining. You know, I don't even like think about it. You know, I'm the kind of person that when something really bothers me a whole lot, I really don't like to speak about it. And what I do is also a celebration. And you know, not even my family even knows this, because this is something I never even spoke about. But at the age of 6 years old, my first Pop Warner team that I played on was the Homestead Hurricanes. And I had this teammate. I had this wild and crazy teammate. I thought I was hot stuff. I thought I was the man until I came across one dude. And we made contact one day. And once we made contact, it took me maybe 2 minutes to, you know, regain my train of thought and where I even was at that point in time. And that dude happened to be the name of Sean Taylor. To this day, whenever I get asked to interview, and they always ask me in trouble, who do you think the best safety is? And I tell them without a doubt, it's number 26, but it ain't the one from the New York Giants. It's that one that came from the University of Miami, number 26. And, you know, I don't sit here and I don't tell stories as if we're the best of friends that ever stepped foot on this planet Earth, because you know what? We had an understanding and we had a partnership, and let me tell you something. One thing I will always remind and one thing I will always respect is the kind of brotherhood that me and him had on the field, because it's something that would never ever be duplicated. It would never ever be lost, and I would never ever have more respect for a person, player, friend, and football player in my life than I have for Sean Taylor. So, Pete, you know where that product came from. You know where that product came from. And honestly, and I tell you this, there's not a day that I don't step on the field, that I don't think of him. And people always ask me, well, you know, Trill, why did you get the number 26? Now y'all know why.